As cities grew during the industrial era, this Gilded Age, they took different shapes than they had in previous eras. The first generation of cities tended to be the colonial style city, and they tended to be based on trade. Places like Boston, Philadelphia, New York, even Charleston to some extent, were centers of trade, and only about 5% of the population lived there. The rest of the 95% were rural farmers. And as time went on, new technologies allowed cities to develop in different areas, and they tended to become cities based around transportation. For example, Chicago was a central hub for everything in the United States, connecting the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, and the South, and it tended to be based around the railroad train. So as railroads grew, these central hubs emerged, and people would transport through there. The third generation of cities is our more modern city, and this occurs around the Gilded Age, a little bit after. These cities are industrial cities. The factories grow, people have to live next to their jobs, and cities emerge in this way. Technology allows these industrial cities to grow in places both unexpected and in new ways. For example, cities could now rely on electricity for power rather than water source. So they didn't have to grow near streams. They didn't necessarily have to be in a central transportation hub. You could get electricity and build your factory, and you could build it in an unexpected location. The cities are able to grow as well because of new technologies. Cities can grow upwards and they can grow outwards. The outward style of growth is spurred on by new technologies such as the suspension bridge, which allows larger bridges to form, like the Brooklyn Bridge, the elevated train, which allows trains to go over the cities, subways, like in New York City, which allows trains to go under the city, and trolleys, like the San Francisco trolleys. These technologies allow people to live further away from their jobs and then go into the city for work, commute to work. Cities can also grow upwards. These technologies are similar to the steel girders of Andrew Carnegie. A lighter building material means they can grow higher, and you can start stacking people on top of each other. You build buildings higher, and then you can also build things like elevators so that they will actually live in those locations. And this is going to be very important because as time goes on, we have more migration and immigration into cities.